U.S. taxpayers are probably asking how much more they'll have to spend on Iraq on top of what's already been poured in. The figure of over $8 billion continues to rise, with costs mounting every second. Now, from dealing with returning personnel to the broader social and economic impact of the war. Anissa Nawe takes a closer look at the numbers.
The decade-long war in Iraq may be officially over, but American taxpayers are still paying for the cost of the invasion. Let's talk numbers. The U.S. has spent more than $60 billion in reconstruction in Iraq so far. That works out to about $15 million per day. Overall cost and other aid adds up to $767 billion since the American-led invasion, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office. But National Priorities Project, a U.S. research group, they estimate the real cost at over $800 billion. And they add that some funds are still being spent on ongoing projects, and that number continues to rise every second. Now, a major problem, it seems, is that all this cash the U.S. is coughing up isn't falling into the right hands or projects. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki says funding could have brought great change in Iraq, but there was misspending of money. I want to give you some examples of this misspending, if you can call it that. There are too many to name, but here are some that I think really stand out. In Iraq's Diyala province, the U.S. began building a prison in 2004, but abandoned the project after 3 years to flee a surge in violence. Now, the half-complete facility cost American taxpayers $40 million, but sits in rubble, and there are no plans to ever finish or use it, according to the Justice Ministry. Also, subcontractors overcharge the U.S. government thousands of dollars for supplies. Take a look at this. A control switch. The U.S. pays $900 for that, when it's actually valued at just $7. $80 for a section of a pipe that is actually valued at just $1.50. Now, when you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, $900, of course, sounds like small change, but obviously it's adding up. Here's another one. Widespread fraud led by a former U.S. Army officer cost tens of millions of dollars in kickbacks connected to government contracts for bottled water. 22 people were criminally convicted, but still tens of millions of dollars in contracts for bottled water. Well, for Iraqis, they're paying a different cost. A government rife with corruption and infighting, near daily deadly bombings still blast Baghdad's streets, and a quarter of the country's 31 million lives in poverty.